Here's the truth. People don't leave jobs, they leave cold leadership. And in a high pressure world that rewards outcomes over connection, empathy is not just a nicety. Nope, it's your competitive edge. And the leaders who truly win in the long run are the ones who can read the room, respect the people in it, and respond with more than just a policy. That's right, they lead with presence. So join us now as we move forward in this Best in Class series. Let's dig in. All right. Well, welcome to Best in Class series on the Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. You know, this is where we highlight the timeless, often overlooked practices that make leaders not just effective, but unforgettable. And today we are diving into a leadership quality that often gets dismissed as soft, but in reality, it's the sharpest tool in your leadership box. Empathy. And today, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome our guest, Mr. Rashesh Doshi. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about him. From starting solo in 2002 to building one of India's largest HR franchise networks, he has led Talent Corner HR services to over 25,000 successful recruitments and grown a team of 300 plus professionals. He brings a wealth of real-world insights on a scaling sustainability, leading with purpose, and creating systems that help others to grow while you grow. Listen, Best in Class series, join me right now as we welcome Mr. Rashesh Doshi. Welcome to Best in Class series.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adrienne, for having me out here. I'm really excited to be a part of the conversation.
Wonderful. Well, listen, I'm really excited about this particular conversation because, you know, when we talk about the human side of business, many times people don't stop to talk about or even consider that there is a human side to it. So this conversation, I believe, is going to help many leaders in our community. So with that, let's go ahead, because the first question that I would like to ask you is, why do you think empathy is often undervalued in high-performing business environments? And the part B is, what's the cost when empathy is missing?
So, Adrienne, in my experience, I think businesses and business leaders are very confused about empathy.
Mm,
I think a lot of them confuse empathy as a weakness. And
mm,
they think that, targets, goals, the hard KPIs are going to be enough.
mm,
Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
mhm,
True leadership is not about delivering just delivering numbers, right? It's about building people who will deliver those numbers. And we've often seen that when you're so focused on the number game, and when you really lack the empathy, I think it makes a dramatic impact. And that answers your question: what does the price the business pays for it? It pays the
yes.
price for low morale. The morale
Mm,
completely in the organization drops, right? And I've experienced this myself. I've been a leader which has chased numbers, and that really drops the morale. Um, I think the whole innovation bit stops because people are so afraid to fail that they stop innovating.
mhm,
And I think the talent retention, and I'm in the business of recruitments. I often tell people that holding on to your people is better than hiring new people. So I think talent
mm,
retention takes a major hit. Yes, in the long run, I think you may gain some speed, but business sustainability will be a big, big problem. Uh,
mm.
when I realized, I think at Talent Corner we put this on highest priority, and luckily for us, we've been able to take care of our franchise partners and our teams. And I think they all want to be heard, they all want to be supported, and they all want to be understood. That's the
Yes.
little bit that I have learned about empathy.
Yes, listen, this is really powerful. I am from, a military background, organizational leadership background, and I have found so many times that the empathy side of the human being that is leading, the leader, many times gets dismissed because it's seen as too slow, or it's seen as too soft, right? It's seen as a distraction from measurable results when that's really not true. And when you talked about the cost of empathy, I sat there nodding my head like, yes, yes, I've seen it over and over again. And as we were considering what you were sharing with us, I thought to myself, a challenge that I've seen many leaders face because of a lack of empathy is a decline of trust.
True.
Those who they are leading, from a psychological standpoint, they don't feel safe because the human side of who they are, right, as team members, as workers, is made silent. Those leaders who are watching and listening right now, here in Best in Class series, we always like to take a moment to have some reflection. I want to invite you, right? This is a good point right now, a good place to stop and do some reflection. Take out whatever note-taking device you have, or if there's somebody next to you can talk to. For a moment, just have a conversation about the human side of the business that you're in, and ask yourself, what is the cost that I experience when that empathy is not there because I am not bringing it? But then also, as you consider the entire environment, just in general, what is the cost? What is the cost? And I was thinking about this quote. There's a Transformation Station quote that says, when empathy is absent, excellence becomes unsustainable. And Russia, you mentioned that word, sustainable, right?
Absolutely.
Leaders, we want to be in environments that are sustainable, but when empathy is absent, excellence becomes unsustainable. So, one thing that we talk to leaders about all the time is our mindset. You have to have a mindset of being a leader, right? Let me ask you this, Rishi, looking back on your journey, what is one mindset shift that made all the difference for you?
So, Adrian, for me, I think the biggest mindset shift was when I learned that I need to stop controlling everything and start empowering others. For the longest time, I believed that I needed to do everything and I needed to get it right. I think the shift happened when I started trusting my people. I started giving them the ownership that they deserved, even if it didn't go right in the first instance. They made their mistakes, but what came out after that were a beautiful set of leaders who knew exactly what the organization is all about, what is the ethos, what is the culture, what is the DNA, and how to take it further. I think that's the big mindset shift which came for me. Um, and thanks to this mindset shift, I think that's how we as a company, which was so centralized just to one city, spread across India to multiple cities. We've been lucky enough to scale across one of the biggest franchise networks in the country today. If I may say, the long lasting one. We've been here for 15 plus years, and I think that's the mindset change that's happened. And let me also tell you one thing, that um, one learning that I have had is empowering others is not about delegation. Empowering others is about believing in them. And as long as you make an effort of believing in them, I think magic happens. And that's been my biggest mindset shift as a leader in at Talent Corner.
Empowering others is about believing in them. Wow, that is powerful. I think inherently many leaders like know it, but don't take the time to always put it into practice. Leader, you're listening, you're contemplating the workspace that you have been blessed and gifted to lead in. Are you empowering those that you lead? And if so, how are you empowering them? Because we just received a reminder today that empowering others is not just about delegation. It's not just about telling them that you're going to do this task. It's about communicating that you believe in them. I want everybody right now stop and think about someone who led you at some point. What made the difference? What was it that caused you to have that spark, that caused you to come alive in that work environment, that caused you to stay a little bit longer, work a little bit harder, be innovative, creative with the team? It was because you felt empowered. You felt empowered not just to execute, but you felt empowered because there was someone who believed in you. Wow. I'm feeling encouraged right now. This is really powerful. So let me ask you this, right? Can you share a time when empathy, not efficiency, because that's what we're talking about, when empathy, not efficiency, led to a better outcome in your leadership or in your business decision?
Sure, I think for us, Adrian, I think the time where empathy really got tested was the time of COVID. During the COVID times, everybody was struggling. My teams were struggling, we were struggling, our franchise partners who were aligned with us were struggling, and they were struggling emotionally, they were struggling financially. And as any organization, when times are tough, you tend to push on getting the maximum, in terms of revenue. uh, that's where we took a pause. We said, hold on, here is what we should not be doing. This is not the time to push on revenues, uh, but to look at the whole emotional angle, the whole emotional feelings of our partners. Um, we set up systems which had emotional check-ins. We would just call our partners and our clients just to check upon them, how are they doing, and how we could be helpful to them. Right? We as a companies just stopped pushing on revenues during that COVID time. We were there to ask them for how we can help them. We waived off any single penalties or anything that could happen. Yes, probably in the short run, if I may say so, it took a hit on our revenue, but let me tell you this, that in the long run, we had partners and team members who were more loyal to us, who are more loyal to us. We never fired a single person
Mm,
during COVID, not a single person. We did not cut people's salaries,
mm,
right? And because we wanted to make sure that people felt that they were a part of the organization.
mm,
Today, I'm very proud to say that all the team members who were there during COVID are still there with us,
mm,
more loyal, more committed, right, to us. And that moment in COVID taught me that empathy is not the opposite of efficiency.
mm.
It's a fuel. It's a fuel which will improve your team's performance, right? And therefore, don't treat it like an opposite. Treat it like an accelerator, which is going to just come into play in the very near future. That's my story on empathy.
Whew, that is powerful. Could you repeat that what you said one more time in terms of you said empathy is a fuel?
Yes. So empathy is not the opposite of efficiency. Empathy is the fuel for long-term team performance and loyalty.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you just can you expand on that for a moment? Empathy is a fuel for long term, like expand on that just for a moment, because that's powerful right there.
So, the minute you empathize with people at a time when things are not going right, uh, they find a reason to trust you, right? That's the time when they really feel that you feel for them, you're there for them. And when you build a trust with them, they are willing to do everything, and because they believe in you, right, they believe in the leader that you are, they're willing to do everything and they want to stick to you. They don't want to leave your side because they know that When times will get difficult again, you will not leave their hand. And because you empathize with them, then they come back. When they come back stronger, they will continue to be with you loyally, and they will do everything to increase the performance of the organization. That's my experience today. Talent Corner post COVID, in 5 years,
Mhm.
with the same team, Adrian has grown 7 times its top line.
Ooh.
How would that happen? How would that happen without a team, right? That would happen only with the team which believes in the whole
Mm,
reason of being.
mercy. So leaders who are listening right now, you have heard this live, living in this time example of how we can execute empathy and the impact, right? We just heard about how in the organization, the people stayed and they didn't have to fire anybody during that COVID time period. And this is really powerful because what I'm hearing from you is that empathy builds the future. Empathy causes there to be an impact of that has a multiplication to it, right, as opposed to a subtraction. So listen, I have to ask you this question because now my mind is like moving 50 miles a minute after working with all of these clients and candidates and franchise partners over the years. What have you, please tell us, what have you learned about people, and how has what you learned about people shaped the way you lead and build your business? I can't wait to hear this. Please tell us.
Sure. So, Adrian, I've been lucky that this transformation has really helped me to learn a lot of things. And let me break down a few things that I have learned. I think my biggest learning has been that people don't leave jobs. Right? When people leave you, they don't leave jobs. They leave you because their trust is broken, or you have had a very unclear direction. So my biggest learning is be very clear with the direction that you're going in, and do everything not to break your team's trust. That's been my first learning for me. Second thing is, I think it's very important to respect and expect that everyone, and literally everyone, whether it's a fresher in your organization, a CEO, a client, and in our case, a franchise partner, everyone wants to grow. And you need to make a way for everybody to grow. And that's really important because you can't keep people stagnant. People will get bored. People will not want to contribute back. Third thing is, you need to build a system to listen. And this has been a revelation for us. Create a mechanism for reviews, for feedback loops, to have open conversations with your people, with your team. It really helps. Allow them to talk, allow them to feel understood, allow them to give their opinion, because it matters. As much as you think you are right, you would be very, very surprised that the person on the opposite side has a far better idea about your own business than you do, right? So listen is the third learning that I've had. um, the fourth thing is that I've learned over a period of time, and I'm still building upon it, is that we as leaders need to have a coaching mindset. We need to have a mindset which is not about just giving direction, getting people to follow, but about coaching people to get the best out of them. Um, and my last one, and this one's an important one: business is not about B2B, or what we call business to business or business to consumer. No B2B, B2C. Business is about H to H, human to human. I think that's been my big learning for me.
Woo! This is powerful. So powerful, right? So let's go back a little bit. You shared with us some serious gems, and those of you who are listening and or those of you who are watching Facebook, YouTube, I want to invite you again to stop and take some notes, right? Number 1, we were told that people don't leave jobs, they leave because trust is broken. That's a serious place right there for us as leaders to stop and to consider the environment that we are allowing to grow or not grow in our workspaces when it comes to trust? Can those who we lead trust us? Can they trust the system, right? We were told today that we're to respect and expect that everyone wants to grow. Listen, sometimes as leaders, you can get caught in that trap of maybe seeing someone who's not producing and just instantly casting judgment, or seeing someone who makes mistakes all the time and instantly casting judgment. But what would happen if you looked at every individual that works for your organization from the filter of, I'm going to respect you and I'm going to expect that you want to grow. You want to grow. Wow. That is serious right there, right? We were reminded today to build a system to listen. And Rashesh, I'm reminded that that word listen, the same letters spell silent, right? And so sometimes as leaders, we have to remind ourselves, shh, be quiet, step back. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. As you said, other people have good ideas too. And many times they will have an idea that really is better than yours. Step back, give your people the space to figure things out, to work, to collaborate, to be innovative, right? Build a system where they know they will be heard, right? And we were reminded today that as leaders, we need to have a coaching mindset. It's interesting to see how the times are changing a little bit. Mentorship was that big thing, and mentorship is important, but that coaching, right? I'm standing beside you. I'm walking the journey with you. I'm helping you, not just telling you what you should be doing. And then we were reminded business is not about B2B, it's about H2H, right? That human side, that human factor. Whew. This is powerful. I know for a fact that I'm going to have to go back and watch this again, because there's so many nuggets and gems when we talk about the human side of business to really, really stop and reflect on. And, remind ourselves as leaders, like, who is that leader that you really want to be? What goals have you set for yourself? And in the midst of meeting the mission and getting the metrics, how can you allow the human factor to be at play as well? So as we turn the corner here, I want to ask you one final question. From your perspective, how can leaders model? How can we model empathy without sacrificing accountability, without sacrificing results or professional boundaries? And before you answer, I think this question is really important because, as we mentioned before, many times leaders step back from being empathetic or putting it into practice because they're afraid the accountability piece, or afraid that the results will decrease, right? Or afraid they're going to cross some sort of professional boundary. So in this final question, please share with us, from your perspective, how can leaders model empathy without sacrificing accountability, results, or professional boundaries?
Sure, Adrian. So let me tell you what I believe and what my experience has been. Um, so empathy does not mean that you need to say yes to everything. It just means that you need to say no, but say no with compassion. When you know you need to say no, you need to say no, and you need to say it with absolute compassion, so the other person knows where you're coming from and understands your thought process. Yes, we as leaders need to make sure that there's accountability. Uh, and yes, you just need to make sure that when you're setting the accountability, the expectations are clearly communicated to them. And if they miss those expectations, if they miss those targets, those goals that we business leaders often look at, try to ask why. Why did they miss the targets? Or why did they miss the goals? Very often, but not, I have seen that sometimes there are legitimate reasons, and sometimes the person has tried really, really hard, uh, but still missed because of any XYZ reason, and they understand it. They understand it, they've grown as individuals, and they will show better promise in the next quarter, if I may say so. And that's been my experience. We as leaders obviously are checking up on our people. And I think instead of checking up, looks use the concept of checking in. Ask them how are they doing, and not just why is something not done, right? So a lot of people who are working in the team, if you just go up and saying, how are you going about doing your goals, your targets, what you are aligned to do, you will get some great insights from them, and you will really start valuing what they're doing for your organization. um, Celebrate the efforts. I think that's one thing that needs to be done. We always celebrate outcomes. Everything that we do, it's all about what the end result, the end goal has been. We never take time to acknowledge those who made real effort. And I tell you, Adrian, we have something called the Impact Awards at Talent Corner, where we actually acknowledge efforts of people. I make it a point that I write something down for everybody who's made an effort and acknowledge them for that. And it's worked beautifully for me, and I believe everybody else needs to do that. And I'll tell you one thing that, and if you are an empathetic leader, you will attract an accountable team. I repeat, if you're an empathetic leader, you will attract an accountable team. That's my choice.
I love this. I am going to have to watch this on the replay because, wow. Say that one more time, that last one.
If you are an empathetic leader,
Yes,
you will attract an accountable team.
Wow. Okay. So those of you who are listening and watching, I want to invite you to, in the comment section, in the chat, DM both of us, like tell us your reflections. Tell us what you are getting from this podcast that is impacting, first of all, your thought leadership, right? Your thoughts, but then also that gives you the fuel that you need to get out there and lead with intentionality using the human side of leadership. This has been amazing today. And so, Rashesh, I know that there are people that want to reach out to you, that want to hear a little bit more about your company, but also the resources that you have. How can someone keep in touch with you if they would like to?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So one can look me up on LinkedIn by my name and my company name. I'm very quick to respond, and I'm very happy to talk to people, give my insights, and I believe in conversations. So on my website, which is talentcorner.in, you can see my email ID and my mobile number. Please feel free to reach out to me. Would love to get into conversation.
Okay, there you have it, our Transformation Station community. The website is right here on the screen. Those of you who are listening, we'll be sure to put it in the description there for Spotify, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Podcast Addict. Please take this, share this. This is worthy of having a discussion with the other leaders in your network. Rashesh, thank you so much for joining us today. This has absolutely been amazing. I do hope we can have you back again. But in the meantime, thank you for sharing these wonderful nuggets and pearls of leadership wisdom with us.
Pleasure's all mine, Adrienne. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, listen, let's make this real. All right. Here's your commitment this week. Pause before you push. Ask one genuine question. Lean in when it might have a temptation to power through. Because remember, we must check in as opposed to checking on others, right? One small act creates a huge ripple of trust. And if this episode stirred something in you, I want to invite you again to share it with your team, or better yet, have a conversation about how empathy, the human side of business, shows up in your workspace. Remember to stay in touch, to follow Transformation Station and Best in Class series every Monday and every Wednesday, because right here, leadership is not just a performance, it's about the people. So until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep on becoming the leader that only you can be.